Get ready for the greatest edition of Todd's Odds, brought to you by FanDuel we've ever shown you, because Todd Fuhrman is in studio with us.
This is a lot of pressure, Jay. I'm not sure I'm ready to be this close to you to provide this kind of hard-hitting segment like we've done for so long already.
How does it feel to be in the great city of Toronto? You spend all your time in Las Vegas, and now here you are in the Las Vegas of Canada.
I mean, the fact that it's not 117 degrees here is great. Now, if I have to translate to the centigrade system, I'm not sure if that's 40, 41 degrees thereabouts. But
nobody knows.
Great.
Not a single person knows how to do that.
Great to be in Toronto, but they also told me slow sports week, they need me to help you fill.
That's right, and that's exactly why we're here.
Yeah.
We're here to fill time.
That's what we do best.
And we saw Canada lose to the United States in an exhibition match in your hometown.
And I wasn't
in
invited to the game.
Yeah.
Nobody gave me courtside tickets. Nobody said they wanted me to cover the game for TSN.
So you came up here.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I want to look at the odds to win gold at the Olympics. The USA, understandably, currently the heavy favorite. Canada, second, but a distant second at plus 1,100, 11-1. The U.S. won gold in 2020 first. Let's talk about Canada, Todd. How do you like their chances to medal? And how do you like the chances of the United States to medal, considering how good some of the other teams are at this point?
I mean, look, I think the biggest question when people look at the roster for the U.S., this is the swan song for that next great era of basketball players. Yeah. One of the questions people keep asking, hey, where does this team relate to 1992? Game's different. I'm not setting a fictitious point spread. We're not here to do that. But when you begin to look at the roster for Team USA, you can understand why they're such a heavy favorite. You know, putting up $5.50 to make a dollar coming back. But I think you look at Canada's roster top to bottom. This is a lot more impact NBA talent than they've had in recent editions. It's been since, 1936, the last time the Canadian men's team has medaled. So the prospects are good in that regard. And you can understand why they're taking a little bit of money at 11-1. Do I think they win it? No, but just get through a group of Greece, Australia, and Spain. And for those folks that haven't watched a ton of international basketball, this Australia and Spain team, not what we've grown accustomed to over the last couple of years. So I think things set up nicely for Canada to pick up a nice medal, even if it is of the silver or bronze variety.
And speaking of bronze, Canada soccer looking for a bronze medal. They failed to make the Copa America final. They've got a chance for a bronze at Copa America against Uruguay on Saturday, but they're big underdogs. Do you like their chances against the Uruguayans?
Can you guys trade us Jesse Marsh?
Oh, isn't he great?
We finally fired our manager. Greg Berhalter is done. That's actually why I'm up here. Little do you know that I'm here to try and get Jesse Marsh to lure him back to Team USA. But you know, when you look at this match, I think it's all about focus. Right. This is a Canadian side who didn't expect to have a chance to finish in a medal position here. Team USA, of course, bowed out ungraciously in the group stage. But the biggest questions when you're handicapping this game, the availability of Alphonso Davies. Will we see any suspensions for the Uruguayan players who decided they wanted to recreate a little bit of malice in the palace to try and go out there and for a little fisticuffs? So I think you have to kind of watch those rosters. The trend that we've seen, though, in these third-place games, they're a little loose and free, and I'm sure this Canadian side would love to be able to find the back of the old onion bag, something they couldn't do in 2 matches against Argentina and have had a real problem consistently scoring throughout this Copa.
You're never getting Jesse Marsh back. He's so American. That's what I really think.
Okay,
he's very American.
Is that okay for Canadians to have a coach or manager, I should say, that you describe as so American?
At first, I think we were all skeptical. But when we saw him yelling at those refs in that Argentina semifinal, I was like, he's one of us. He's one of us.
Sounds about right now as the American Federation continues to scramble to figure out who the bench boss will be behind a pivotal 2026 World Cup.
Absolutely, yeah, when Canada, U.S., and Mexico host. But we got to go to the Euro final now. This is exciting. You've got, especially for TSN executives, who are hoping for a final like this. You've got England. You've got Spain. England goes into the tournament as the favorites, as you know, Todd, but Spain is the favorite to win in the final. How do you see it playing?
Well, at least our current employer is happy with England being in the Euro final, because our previous employer, not so happy that Team USA is no longer competing in Copa America. But I actually think this England team has shown me a lot. Their ability to concede early against the Dutch inside the first 10 minutes and then to battle back. We didn't see the complacency from this team offensively. You're starting to see them get out in space, and Gareth Southgate feels a lot more comfortable for me, knowing the strengths and weaknesses of this roster. I've been critical of the Spanish side. Look, Dani Olmo, an inside track to be player of the tournament. You look at what Yamal has done as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old now wearing braces, scoring the biggest goal of the tournament. I like England. I think they're a live underdog in this spot, and I think they're finally going to be able to say and sing it loudly and proudly, it's coming home.
You know, Drake sometimes watches this show. I bet you he's going to be listening to that advice, but because he didn't do so well on the Canada bet against Argentina.
300,000 for Drake on Team Canada is a drop in the bucket.
I know.
That's couch cushion change.
But he's got to make it back.
The same thing you find at the Onrait household when you get up from the couch after a late afternoon nap.
Fair enough, but he's got to make it back now. So I hope he's listening. Drake, if you're listening, go with what Todd says about England. And FanDuel, maybe Drake will be interested in some of these novelty props we have at FanDuel right now. Very interesting to me that the props are about whether or not Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Bo Bichette might be traded out of Toronto before the deadline. The odds are overwhelmingly no for both. But do you think a yes might be a good bet for either of these players as we head to the deadline at the end of the month?
So when we talked early, when we broke down the Blue Jays before the season started, producer Kyle gets in my ear. He goes, I'd like you to say something nice about the Blue Jays. I go, I'm not really that optimistic about their outlook for the season. If anything, it was Kevin Gausman potentially being a Cy Young contender. But this is a team that's underwhelmed maybe as much as any team in baseball. And that's hard for me to say as a Yankees fan, watching them continue to put up loss after loss after loss. But I know they want to rebuild. I know the thought is about trying to figure out where this core is going to go. How do you get better trading Bichette or Vladdy Jr.? In my opinion, both these guys stay. You trade everybody else, and you try and figure out what's gone so wrong with the roster that they thought could not only compete for a wild card spot, but was going to have a legitimate chance to win the American League East.
I can't believe the segment's over. It just flew by.
And it's still probably the longest segment they'll ever let us do.
It's true, because they're already upset and want me to wrap this up.
I figured. That's why I didn't wear my earpiece, Jay.
Exactly.
So they can yell at you, not me here.
I got to start not wearing this thing.